All right, today we're going to break down this really fascinating case study about a software company, Ideal, and how they totally transformed their customer support using AI. And the results? They're not just a little better, they are a complete reinvention of what's possible. Let's dive in. So, let's just kick things off with a question that really every single business has to wrestle with, especially in our 24/7 world. When your customers need help right now, what is the actual cost of a slow response? It's not just about a little frustration. We're talking about loyalty, reputation, and yeah, at the end of the day, revenue. To give you a taste of what we're talking about, just look at this transformation. Ideal went from a first response time of 2 to 4 hours, and that was only if you called during business hours, to under 60 seconds, anytime, day or night. I mean, that's not just a small improvement, right? That is a total game changer. So how on earth did they do it? Okay, so to really get how they pulled this off, you gotta understand the problem they were facing. Let's set the stage and take a look at the support crisis that was brewing at ID Alexa before they made this big move. So, Ideal's business, it's pretty complex. They're serving equipment dealers, folks who don't work a simple 9 to 5. When a tractor dealership has a software glitch at 2 in the morning, they can't afford to wait for an answer. So as Ideal got more and more successful, the pressure on their support team just kept building. It was like this perfect storm brewing. First, you've got all those night and weekend questions just piling up, creating a huge backlog for the morning. Second, the answers to those questions were buried somewhere in this massive, messy library of over 10,000 articles and old tickets. And third, the sheer number of new tickets coming in was growing way faster than they could possibly hire people. They were basically hitting a wall. Ideal knew they had to do something. They needed a solution that was always on, lightning fast, and smart enough to actually make sense of that huge, complicated knowledge base. For them, the answer was a new generation of AI. And they didn't just grab any old AI off the shelf, they went with a platform called Raia, and it had these features that were perfect for their specific problems. It could basically read and understand all 10,000 of their documents almost instantly. And here's the key part. It had a human feedback loop, so their own experts could train the AI. Best of all, it was pretty much ready to go right out of the box, no heavy custom coding needed. But here's the thing, and this is super important. You can't just flip a switch and let a new AI loose on your customers. That's a recipe for disaster. So Ideal was really smart about this. They followed a very careful, very structured plan to make sure the rollout was a success. The secret weapon here was this concept they called shadow mode. For 3 whole months, the AI was only used internally by the support team. It would draft answers to real customer questions, and then the human agents would review them, correct them, and approve them. This let them train the AI on real-world problems and really build trust in what it could do, all safely behind the scenes. And this timeline just shows you how methodical they were. The first couple of weeks were all about cleaning up their data, getting their house in order. Then, week 3, they kicked off that internal pilot. It wasn't until week 12, a full 3 months later, that they finally released it to the public. This wasn't a rush job, right? They took their time to get it right. So, after all that careful planning and setup, what happened? What were the results? Well, this is where the story gets really, really good. Let's look at the impact just 90 days after they went live. Just let this number sink in for a second. 50%. Within 3 months, half of all customer support tickets were being handled completely by the AI, from start to finish. No human ever had to touch them. For any support organization, that is just a revolutionary number. Now, this wasn't about replacing people, not at all. It was all about creating capacity. The work the AI was doing was basically like adding 5 new full-time employees to the team. This meant their human experts were freed up to focus on the really tricky, high-value problems that actually needed a human brain. And what about the customers, the people who actually matter the most here? Well, they were way happier. The company's customer satisfaction score jumped a massive 12 points, from a 4.1 to a 4.6 out of 5. And the reason is simple, right? People love getting the right answer instantly, especially when it's late at night. And of course, all that new efficiency, it shows up on the bottom line. They estimated about $350,000 in savings per year just from reducing manual work and overtime. So it wasn't just better support, it was a much smarter way to run the business. Maybe one of the smartest parts of this whole setup is what the AI did when it couldn't solve a problem on its own. For those tickets that still needed a person, the AI would do the initial homework. It would diagnose the issue, gather the key info, and pull up relevant articles. This cut down the time it took a human to get started by 40%. It made the whole team faster.
So, what can we all learn from this? Ideal's success story really gives us a clear blueprint for any leader thinking about this stuff. And it kind of boils down to three main lessons.
First, start in shadow mode. You have to test, train, and build trust in the system internally before you ever let a customer touch it. Second, invest in knowledge hygiene. Your AI is only as good as the data it learns from, so having clean, organized information is absolutely non-negotiable. And third, think bigger than just solving tickets. Use the AI to triage and prep the work for your human team, making everyone more productive.
This whole project was such a huge win that Ideal isn't just, stopping here and patting themselves on the back. They're already planning the next evolution for their AI agent, moving it from a reactive tool to a truly proactive partner. And the next steps are pretty ambitious. They want to have the AI give proactive tips to users right inside the software. They're planning to let it handle routine things like billing questions and license upgrades. And get this, they even want to use it to analyze customer sentiment to flag accounts that might be unhappy before they even complain. This quote from the case study just wraps it all up perfectly. In just 1 quarter, this AI took a sprawling, messy pile of knowledge and turned it into a powerful, self-service machine that led to happier customers and way less work for their team. Ideal's story is just such a great example of what's possible when you apply AI to a really well-defined business problem. And it leaves us with this final thought. If AI can completely change a core function like customer support this quickly, what else could it do for your business? Where else could it transform the way you work?